So this is Felix. This is my shoot with Felix. All natural light. I will say mostly shooting on the 24-70 and my settings were varying between f4 and f5.6. Shutter speed, you'll see it's all over the place, mainly because of the light, which is something I really liked. When we did this shoot, I wanted this natural light. You can see here, although it's a little bit blown out, forgive it, I'm shooting behind the scenes on my Insta360 Go 3, which is basically clips of my chest. And the light you can see hitting his hair there. And I was really keen to get a photo that was kind of backlit and just, you know, enjoy the shots with him. And I did shoot some on film and I'll be showing them later. But as you can see, when the camera moves around, that light is coming in amazing. And he's a really good model. I'll put his Instagram handle and everything everywhere. We did shoot, he's just got the most beautiful look. I liked this picture, but I wanted something a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit different. So I tried, we found little pockets of places to pose. I am conscious not to get members of the public in my shots, although I am filming and you can see they get in. He had such great vibes. Honestly, Felix, I highly recommend you check him out on Instagram, as well as putting his links in the photo. I will definitely in the video. I would definitely put them below. Please check him out. He's just wonderful. He's got this great Irish accent as well, and his skin is fabulous, and he's good height, and the hair. I mean, the hair goes without saying. Anyway, did this shot. I was looking for places where the light would give me some sort of like lens flares and some refractions, and you know, just to give me a sort of mix between blogger vibe, dare I say it, fashion, street style. There was this vibe because he's got this such beautiful sense of style. By the way, I sent him a mood board, but he totally styled himself. I love those cowboy boots, the little heel on them. I think it's called a Cuban heel, but I might have that wrong. And we just kind of worked with the light hitting him. Although that's my sexy knee. I think you'll appreciate it. Wow, look at that knee. Yeah. You can see the light there hitting. Now, I did have my lens hood on, but I still wanted a bit of lens flare. So every now and then I'd rotate the lens hood so it wasn't quite so covering, so we could get that lens flare. I know it's not for everybody, but it definitely was for me. I am shooting these on my Nikon mirrorless. So here you go. Oh, just great. Look at those cheekbones. Look at that. Just stunning. And he takes direction really well. I really enjoyed working with him, so I'm going to do some more with him soon. We're just using around the town, and if I tell you this shoot was only planned maybe like at 8 o'clock last night. We chatted for half an hour. I sent a mood board, got it all across, and then we're shooting. Now, one thing, the light is really golden here, and it doesn't help, or it does help depending on how you feel about it. The stone behind is really yellow. In this video, it's not as yellow, and the light is incredibly yellow here. So I wanted to play with that warm sun. I didn't want to cool it down too much. Now, there's a lot of people walking here, so a lot of the time, which I don't like to encroach on anybody trying to get past and stuff, so I'm very keen that we don't overtake an area. And also, I didn't want to put the poppies in. It's straight after Remembrance Day. I didn't want them in the shot. So I spent a lot of time trying to pose him away from those. Beautiful. I love this. You can see how warm it is. And we have these steps. Now, this area, you can't technically shoot on under the archways too much. They're kind of, by the way, that gentleman's fine. He's waiting for a lift. I'm not photographing a vulnerable person there. You have to be really careful because they do have these rules that you can't shoot, like do whole photo shoot there. So we stuck to the steps a bit, and I made sure that I never went like into that area at the top. You can shoot on these stairs, so as long as you're on the stairs, it's fine. You can see the light hitting the glass window behind. Now, I know there's a lot of stuff on the walls here. I kind of wanted to play with the shadow, but also I struggled with whether I take out the sign or not. So when I'm looking for shots, I'm looking for some places for interesting foot placement and watching that light. Now, that light that he reflecting off the glass would act as a hair light for him because the sun's coming in at his head, but then behind this light was flaring backwards. So that's kind of like, if you like, the secondary part of natural light. And as I've progressed in my photography, I'm definitely seeing myself watching for this more. And I keep a track on my phone of where all of this stuff happens. So for example, I know we originally shot around 12 o'clock, the light really hits those chairs and tables. So here I know that the light hits roughly around this time on those glass windows, so I can work with it. And it's such a strong light as well. But look at him, isn't he just fantastic? Look at the moves he's got, just effortless. You can see there how warm it is. I was really keen to keep this warm vibe going, and I just think it's fantastic. Now, I noticed that there was some stronger shadows. Can I just say, this is like 10:30, quarter to 11 in the morning. So already these shadows are quite defined, even though it almost feels like golden hour. I know it sounds really weird, but it felt so much like golden hour because the sun was just, it wasn't ultra soft, but it was somewhere. So I managed to play with the shadows. I had this vision in my head. I don't think I executed as well as I could have, but I wanted him to like kind of have this shadow cross his face. I think in hindsight, maybe I would need to do it on a much, much brighter day, but somehow there's something really nice about it. And it helps that he's got such a symmetrical face. And it's great. So I'll show you those shots now. I think I'm quite proud of those. I love the detail in the background here. As you notice, I did Photoshop a lot of the signs off. So this is what I'm talking about, where I'm explaining to him that I can't go up into those archways to photograph. I can stay on the steps. Technically, oh, someone got a parking ticket. Technically, because I cannot photograph, do a shoot in that area as far as I understand, but on the steps they can't stop me, so that makes sense. I'm sure that's what I was told by one of the security guards. But anyway, also I'm very conscious that the other side of this building is a lot of people who visit some of the constabulary, and they might be vulnerable, so I don't want to film them. So I just kind of, you'll see the film will kind of change a little bit, so I'm not showing people going in too much. And he, you know, he took direction. Right now, there's a horrific toilet sign over there. So I'm kind of getting him to like move away from that. And also, if you notice, my massive shadow on the floor. So I'm very keen that I don't pick that up. That's something I had to learn to make sure that I was watching out for, that shadow of mine. Here we go. Look at that, beautiful. Yes, I did Photoshop the toilet sign out. I don't care, come for me. So we moved there to the very famous Montague Jeffrey sign. There's a walkway here. Let me just see me adjusting everything, looking like I know what I'm doing, a little bit of reflection of me. Please go and by, actually waved at us. Montague Jeffrey is a great sort of like building, iconic, not far from where we originally were. Now, when I'm working on these crossroads, the safety of my model is paramount. So I'm looking for them, and I also say to them, don't stand here if there's a car coming, walk along. And also I signal to cars who kindly stop for us. Like, don't need to stop for us. We'll get out of the way. We are the ones sort of, if you like, interfering in a public space. But I think everyone's just so used to everyone photographing here. You can see here, like, so it looks like he's stood on the road. He is, but he's on the last sort of like zebra white line. So it's not really encroaching on anybody. But notice we move out the way. Beautiful shots. I went for a different vibe, a bit more of a Insta blogger kind of about town fashion vibe, because I wanted this shoot to be very varied. And then I had this cool idea that maybe I could get some motion blur. Oh, these are people crossing the road, like, you know, let them cross the road. Here I am explaining to him, but it's starting to get a little bit busier now that we're approaching towards 11, and I signal to let people through, and we make sure he's safe. Safety is so important. I kind of get worried a little bit more about it, because I am responsible for somebody if I put them in the position. Here I'm shooting with my monitor, and this is something I did. I realized that if I have the camera up to my face, I can't be as safety conscious with him. Luckily, with this camera set up, it will track his eyeball for me, which allows me to hold the camera but still be on a lookout for his safety, which you might laugh, but I think it's really important that we don't overlook this. And yeah, and you can see now there's no real sun coming at us, but there is sun hitting the building behind. So I decided to use that as a sort of a backfill slightly. You see this gentleman here in this traditional way. He's going to come over and ask me a couple of questions. I think I cut out the video. He's going to want some directions. So here I am using the monitor to shoot, just because I'm worried about the safety of my model if I've got the camera up to my face. And I think that's a really important thing to remember as a photographer. You can also see the staff there at Montague Jeffrey. I also, when people stop me and say, oh, sorry, I'm going to get in a shot. No, I don't stop anybody getting into the shot, because I don't have the right to stop them. And I think that's something that photographers need to learn, because I see it so often. This couple wanted their picture taken. Here's the motion blur picture I like. We then moved to near the museum. I did some shots here, but I got interrupted by some of my former students, so I couldn't put that footage in. So we moved down to this bit. Now I know just behind the Northampton Museum, there's a bit of wall that's painted white quite brightly. And that meant if you see the sun is facing us, you can see the long shadows. It would act as a interim deflector. You see it, there it is. Now, obviously, that makes it very bright. You can see the lens flare already on my camera. It made it very bright for Felix, so I can't have him look at it. So I have him off to the side, and, you know, you can see him squinting. I said, don't look at it. And, you know, it meant I did have to get my reflector out, and I was able to do these beautiful backlit shots. Now, I will say, I used his head to block out some of the sun, and he goes, look how beautiful he is. Just hands down, what an incredible model. And his hair is incredible. I used his hair sometimes to block out the sun and do this sort of real backlit. And then I decided, why don't I embrace the flare and have it come through? You can see this shot with his hand. I kind of had this idea of it being sort of the flare to come through. Anyway, here are the final images. I hope you like them, and you will follow and subscribe, and I'll share the film photos once they get developed. Thanks.